Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. And welcome back, my friends, to Secret Origins Month. Wally West has had a hard time in comics, and as we saw earlier this year with Heroes in Crisis, it never seems to stop. I think his only rival for crappy developments is Peter Parker. Or Roy Harper, take your pick really. In his honor, today we'll be checking out his first appearance. There's not much to say about his background or why he was made. It all comes back to kid sidekicks, really. Robin was created to have a surrogate character for kids who read Batman, and likewise, Kid Flash was created as a surrogate for kids who read The Flash. I've said this before, but it's interesting how sidekicks have become a dead art in superhero books. Teen superhero characters start out pretty independently these days without necessarily having a regular superhero mentor figure. Part of it is from a storytelling perspective. There's more tension when they don't have an adult to call on for advice and backing them up. And in turn, a teenager navigating a dangerous, harsh environment leads to character growth and development, framing their own struggles as teenagers through the lens of punching supervillains. And as a result, having an adult work with them takes something away from that, at least in terms of modern storytelling. I'm okay with it for the most part, but I admit I wouldn't mind seeing more new sidekicks developed just because they also create a new dynamic for an adult hero too. So let's dig into The Flash, number 110, Meet Kid Flash, and, well, not meet him because we've met Wally several times on this show already. God, should I have playlists for stories in chronological order? No.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a party hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazon and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
The cover is... Wow, Kid Flash used to wear a sombrero. Who knew? Okay, yeah, much like other Silver Age books, this actually has two stories in here. Normally I would just ignore the other ones since we're focused on Kid Flash, but as people keep clamoring for villains' first appearances, fine. This also has the first appearance of Flash villain the Weather Wizard, so we'll take a look at that too. But yeah, strangely enough, while the cover is fine, neither Kid Flash nor the Weather Wizard are on it. It's just the Flash dealing with some kind of massive tidal wave caused by the Wizard. Naturally, his solution to this is to spin his arm around really fast.
The stinging blades.
What?
Of the windmill!
That news radio clip isn't even far off. The fastest man alive turns himself into a super windmill to drive back a flash flood in Challenge of the Weather Wizard. Well, now I don't have to review the story since you just revealed how he solved the challenge. Our opening splash page does show him actually fighting the wizard, though. Great Jupiter! The Weather Wizard has pulled a dark cloud down from the sky and is sending it at me like a bolt of black lightning. I apparently have enough time to think about that, but not get away. Never in the cyclonic career of the mighty Flash has the world's fastest human met anyone quite like the bizarre villain who tamed the atmosphere and made it sit up and do tricks. Well, maybe if we actually offer the atmosphere some bacon strips, it would be willing to do that for us too. We truly open with Barry getting ready to head out on a date with Iris in an hour. Apparently, he's been late so many times to their dates that she's threatening to break up with him. Iris was so mad she refused ever to see me again, but I got her to agree she'd forgive me if I met her a dozen times in a row on time. So far, I've been punctual on 11 dates, and the big 12th one comes up today. Okay, I get the agreement, but come on, I think the dude's earned a reprieve when he's managed to hit the double digits in a row for being punctual for your dates. Over the police intercom, he hears about a sudden cloudburst threatening people despite the perfectly fine weather and decides to change into the Flash to investigate. He quickly finds a small area where it's pouring rain, directly on top of the weather wizard. And only him. On a hot day like this, a little rain feels good. And when I feel like a little rain, I make it rain! I mean, you have a weather control device. Patent that thing, and you will indeed make it rain. Flash, trying to stop my little sport? Dude, Flash, he was just cooling himself off on a hot day. Don't be a dick. I mean, yeah, he's probably using it on the city for some stupid reason, but the artwork doesn't show that. Just the weather wizard pouring rain on himself. Maybe we ought to see the Flash saving people from his chaos before we just assume the dude's a villain. Hell, you could figure that the weather wizard is just defending himself here. A bolt of lightning shooting out of that stick of his, straight at me! It's a good thing lightning only moves like half a mile an hour, or I'd never get to finish stating what's in front of me. He dodges the lightning bolt and starts creating a vortex around the weather wizard to suck all the air out of the area. The weather wizard releases a bunch of fog to blind him, though, and makes his escape. As the Flash recovers, a man approaches. That amazing character disappeared, Flash. He was so incredible. Someone should totally make toys based on him for kids reading this to buy. The guy's a U.S. Marshal who's been tracking him. I know a good deal about him, Flash. In fact, everything. Except how to catch him. And before you ask, yes, I've seen it, and yes, the wand is to compensate. He used to be a burglar named Mark Martin, who was managed to escape from a train where he was on his way to prison. Apparently just by jumping out when the train was on a curve. Martin was pretty clever. Or the guy guarding him was pretty stupid, either way works. Needing a place to lie low for a while, he headed towards the lake. I've got a queer duck brother named Clyde. Oh, outdated terminology. He was actually a demisexual goose who lives all by himself like a hermit on Big Water Lake. He seemed to try to get away from the world, as if he didn't like people. Okay, I was just joking before, but it's starting to sound like this guy really was a duck. He reaches a small island where Clyde had set up a scientific laboratory. He enters the lab, only to find his brother dead. He must have had a heart attack or something here while he was working. According to his notes, he managed to teleport a Martian here? From near his brother's hand, Martin took the notebook that was to prove his most valuable find. 11 herbs and spices? My God, he really was onto something here! Of course, no. It's all about weather experimentation and how he planned to help the world with it, which of course the weather wizard balked at. These discoveries of Clyde's can make me rich and powerful. But even more important, they can make it possible for me to carry out a private project I've been thinking about. Starting my own streaming service. It will be called Quibi, and it will be an unparalleled success. I've built this electro-vibrator wand.
Are we not saying phrasing anymore?
It will enable me to have complete control over the atmosphere, to create all kinds of weather effects, and some that no weatherman has ever heard of. Ever heard of Meat Splunk, Al Roker? Well, soon you will! But now, to go with my new role as the weather wizard, I need the proper costume. Something bizarre and original. And thus we have green tights and a poofy green shirt, separated by a yellow scarf around his waist. Okay, gotta hand it to ya. It is bizarre and original, so points for accuracy. Not bad looking, mind you, just a weird choice for weather-based villainy. All that I've told you, Flash, we pieced together after tracing Martin's movements from the time he escaped from the deputy guard. We especially knew about the part where he called his own outfit bizarre and original. Okay, so actually this quote kinda makes me tilt my head. I was gonna question how he knew all this, but they said they traced his movements. But if they figured out where the lab was and that he got the weather technology from it, doesn't that suggest they found the same research documents and notes that he did, and thus can pass that info on to other scientists, and they can create weather machines now? And if they didn't follow him into the lab and learn all this stuff, well...
How did you know about the parts you weren't there for?
Anyway, he quickly puts his new powers to work. What's this? Colored snow falling here inside the bank? Really brings new meaning to don't eat the yellow snow. Although you can eat the pink snow. Go wild on that. He kept experimenting with his amazing weather stick out of a sense of bravado and contempt for people. Look at the yokels stare at this rainbow I've created right here on the street. I have nothing but contempt for you yokels. Now stare at the pretty rainbow I've created. The marshal confirms they did find the island and some notes he left behind himself. His pet project, which was to have hailstones the size of cannonballs pummel and destroy a police station. After that flash, he attacked the sheriff's office in a nearby state. We haven't been able to figure out. Wait, so his notes said that he'd attack a police station and sheriff's office with hail, not that he actually did it or anything? Flash deduces what his next target will be, a home in the suburbs of Central City, which is why he then proceeds to clearly go to an isolated house in the countryside and not the suburbs. The Wizards created a massive glacier that's going to threaten the city, so the Flash grabs an acetylene torch nearby to try to melt it with his super speed. Not sure he has enough fuel for that, but whatever, it does the trick. Unfortunately, it also accidentally creates a massive flash flood that will do even more damage. Barry Allen, simultaneously a great hero and a complete utter disaster who causes just as much harm as he solves. Flash fact. The Flash manages to disperse the flood wave by, standing in one place and creating the wind we saw on the cover. Okay, 1, why wouldn't it just push it somewhere else? 2, how does it disperse it? 3, how is it doing it to the entire wave and not just to one small section of it? That glacier was frickin' huge! Weather Wizard's next plan, which of course both he and the Flash loudly exposit, is to pull a cloud towards him. The dust and soot particles in the cloud, solidified into a hard mass by my weather stick, will blast Flash apart when it hits him. Feels like a commentary on how bad the pollution is in Central City. However, of course, Flash just dodges it. Whew, only my speed saved me. A statement that applies to pretty much everything he does. He surges forward enough to create a wave front of air that slams into the Weather Wizard and knocks him down, allowing the Flash to bring him into custody. He then explains to the U.S. Marshal that he had heard of Martin before too, and in particular, the officer who arrested him. His pet project was to take revenge on the 3 officers who had arrested him during his criminal career. A deduction that apparently the other law enforcement agent in this case could not figure out, despite the obvious evidence. It suddenly makes sense that he was so easily able to escape them from the train. Realizing he has only 2 seconds left to make his date with Iris, would have been really unfortunate if the clock he looked at was a few minutes fast, and so he races over to her. But uh-oh, he forgot to change out of his Flash costume, confusing Iris. For the record, she would not find out Barry Allen was the Flash for another 55 issues. On their wedding night. Because he talked in his sleep. Yeah, not gonna get into that. Instead, let's talk about Wally West, who we're really here for. Our opening splash page features the Flash arriving at a zoo, only to see that Kid Flash is already dealing with an escaped gorilla. I rushed here to the zoo to help get those escaped beasts back into their cages, but fast as I was, Kid Flash beat me to it. Oh no, I promised I'd beat him to these things 12 times in a row, and now I've broken that promise! We truly open by Iris bringing over her nephew, Wally, to see Barry. He's the president of the Flash fan club in his hometown. You know, stupid thought. I was never in any serious fan club or the like as a kid. Anyone out there who was, did you actually have, like, official offices, reading of the minutes, organizational structure like that? Also, whoever decided Wally should wear that bow tie and short sleeve shirt together just apparently decided that Wally's life should always be a miserable experience. Anyway, Iris figured that Barry might be able to arrange a meeting between Wally and the Flash, since Barry works at the police station and the Flash often works with them. Iris, suppose you leave Wally with me for the afternoon. Maybe I can arrange a meeting with the Flash. Okay, I've got to get back to my desk at Picture News anyway. I mean, I know the concept of news shown through images is a novel, goofy idea, Barry, but I want to try to make it work. But yeah, Wally wonders if he really will get to meet the Flash. You see, the Flash occasionally visits me. He, stays in that room there. Kinda uses it as a headquarters during his visit. I thought that was the linen closet. Yeah, well, superheroes need to store their sheets somewhere, Wally. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he's there right now. If he is, I'm sure he won't mind your coming in to say hello. Go ahead and see if he's in there. Hey, Barry, my pants got torn up in a fight with the weather wizard. Can I borrow your— Oh my god! And indeed, as Wally walks over to the door to take a look in, Barry quickly changes into the Flash and arrives on the other side of the door. Flash? Is it really you? Hi, Wally. I couldn't, help overhearing the conversation in the next room. Barry's a filthy liar. He's subletting this room to me and raises the rent every week. Mr. Flash, this is the coolest moment of my life. I mean, wait till all the cats back home here have actually shaken hands with the Flash himself. The cats? Oh, that's just the way we kids talk, Mr. Flash. No, it isn't. Wally is curious how the Flash got his powers, and he decides to show him, bringing him to Barry Allen's police lab. It's kinda weird that he did so. Sure, he doesn't have to tell him he's Barry, but at the same time, it kinda narrows the options when he specifically mentions that he was doing an experiment that day. And as he's explaining about the lightning bolt that went through the window and zapped some chemicals that spilled on him, the exact same thing happens to Wally! Great Scott! Just as I was telling Wally about the lightning bolt, a real one came through the window! And despite just showing in the last story that I can outrun those, apparently I was powerless to move him out of the way of those chemicals! It's a good thing he was just storing that ecto-cooler right there instead of the real chemicals. But yeah, the same incident that gave him his powers has just happened again. Exactly. The exact same chemicals. Yeah, this massively extreme coincidence is not exactly new fodder for people to make fun of. The comics themselves have bent over backwards to try to explain how the hell this happened, but we won't get into that today. Let's just say it was the will of the Speed Force or something. He quickly tests Wally to see if he has the same speed powers, which he does, keeping up with him while running, as well as catching a baseball before it can hit a wall. After explaining about all this to him, Flash imparts on him how this power is a gift and a responsibility to help those in need, combat evil, and never for your own gain. Unless you use it to travel back in time to try to stop a supervillain from killing your mom. I see nothing bad happening from that. He even gives him a Flash ring with a uniform inside. Yes, it's one of my spares, but I've cut it down to fit you. It's a good thing our heads and torsos are the same size. He tells him how he needs to protect his secret identity. But we've still got to find a name for you. You talked about the kids back home, Wally. We'll call you Cat Flash. No, of course, it's Kid Flash. Unfortunately, it seems he's lost track of time, and he needs to get back to work as Barry Allen, though apparently he hasn't told Wally his own identity yet. I do wonder why he can't just bring the kid with him, or why he didn't think about this before he started on this little escapade, especially since Iris still hasn't come back yet. He tells Wally to start practicing his speed powers until he's mastered them. However, Wally then overhears on a radio that several dangerous animals have escaped from the zoo. Mr. Flash told me to practice my speed, and he also said I must help anyone in danger. Here's my chance to do both. I'm gonna punch a lion so many times! After taking a moment to get an old man across a busy street, he does indeed find a lion and puts him back in a cage. He then finds a bear and creates a wind vortex around it. I've heard about Flash doing this, and it's just as easy for me! Oh, crap, I think I suffocated that bear to death. But no, he gets the bear back in its cage too, just as the Flash arrives and observes the scene. Kid Flash got both animals back safely in their cages. Great Jupiter! This is a strange feeling I have, but a good one. I just know this kid is never gonna accidentally kill a bunch of people and then come up with a convoluted scheme to cover it up, and then become Dr. Manhattan or something. I know now that I will never be alone again in my struggle against evil and injustice. I've got someone to fight at my side. Kid Flash, but I'd better not let him see me. I want to change back to Barry Allen. I have a constant friend and ally I can rely and depend on. Better not make any displays of trust or anything. I kid. It's probably a good idea to not tell him just yet. One occurrence of him saving the day is not necessarily proof of him being a good person. After all, he's still a little kid who has just been given immense power. Better wait a bit before giving him information that could result in your murder if he ever gets pissed off. And that's not a Heroes in Crisis reference or anything, it's just good sense. Kid Flash would have a bunch of solo adventures after this before he teamed up with Barry again 10 issues later, where he would reveal his identity to him finally in a story that involved them traveling through time and fighting giants in the past. Because comic books. And so our comic ends with Iris coming to retrieve the young Wally from Barry's care. And apparently he brings up some details. You say that you know who this amazing new Marvel Kid Flash is? No, Aunt Iris, he's a DC, not a Marvel. Although, given how many other people have had it, I suppose I could eventually become Captain Marvel. But you can't tell me or Barry here? No, Aunt Iris, I can't. You see, it's something that has to be a secret forever. Between me and my friend, Mr. Flash. Well, if you can't tell me, why'd you even bother bringing it up? This comic is pretty decent, with Wally's origin a little lackluster, but not terrible. The Weather Wizard story, while a bit goofy in spots or containing some weird plot holes, is still very entertaining and contains the introduction of a cool villain. Weather control is a versatile, dangerous power, and the Weather Wizard demonstrates a lot of its potential in it, with only the Flash's incredible speed as a match for it. While the Wizard is not as popular as some of Flash's other rogues, his powers do make him a force to be reckoned with, hence why he sometimes gets pitted up against even other heroes like Superman. By comparison, Wally's story is fairly low-key. If you ignore the bizarre coincidence of how he got his powers, it's just a fun little tale about Wally gaining superpowers and doing a few good things with them. Nothing really to write home about, but a promising start to the character. And while we know that Wally would face a lot of rough times in the future, it doesn't diminish that he had the heart of a hero even at the start of his journey. Next time... Okay, you want a proper villain origin? Well, you're gonna get one. Plus, a surprising visit to the original Spider-Man Clone Saga. Mr. Flash, this is the coolest moment of my life. I mean, wait till the cats back home here have actually shaken hands with the Flash himself. The cats? Oh, that's just the way we kids talk, Mr. Flash.
Howdy do, fellow kids.
Hello, my friends. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications on new video releases. If you'd like to support future videos, you can check out my Patreon or purchase a t-shirt via Teespring or Shark Robot. Thanks for watching.